Good evening, YouTube viewers and subscribers. So this will be the final video of this OS FS-91 Surpass 2 engine from a customer friend of mine, Tim. I just completed, well, not just, about 45 minutes ago, the second and final side mount run of this engine. And I've got this engine, as soon as I finished that run, I opened a beer and I started drinking that beer. And then I took the engine off the mount, came in here, took the prop off, took the exhaust off, did nothing else to this engine but set it on this piece of foam. And I'm setting it on this piece of foam for a reason. And the reason is, the one final thing that I need to try and check out for Tim is that he was saying that after running this engine, and he ran it like 4 to 6 times, I think, he said when he got home, set the engine or the plane someplace, and after a while a copious amount of oil would come out, or there'd be a pool of oil. He thought it looked like excessive amount of oil coming out of the engine. So I've kind of got this propped up, and I've got a picture here that shows you the angle that I've got it at. To try to simulate it being in a tail dragger, because this engine that this is his engine that he was using in a Super Skybolt, I think he said. So it was in a tail dragger configuration. So I'm trying to, the best I can, trying to simulate the issue he was seeing. So I've had it sitting here like this. I didn't wipe down the engine at all. I'm going to move this real quick, and I'm just going to kind of show you that I don't really see any oil leakage on here. There's a little bit of a sheen in here. This engine was really clean, and I think I even may have wiped it down before I started running it. So I'm not seeing any excessive oil coming from anywhere. And I actually, after the I think it was after the first side mounted run, I disconnected this tube just because it's kind of a clear tube, but it's kind of dirty, and I wanted to see if it was filled with oil. So I disconnected it here and kind of held it down, and no oil came out. So it kind of looked like there might have been oil in there, but I don't know that there really is. So I mean, this engine is actually really clean. So I'm going to continue to set this on this foam block probably overnight, and then I'm going to finish up this video. The last thing I'm going to do for this is remove the carb here, remove these 2 screws, pull the carb off, then take the back cover off, because one of the other issues that Tim was noting was that, at least on the first run, or first couple of runs, first times he ran it, he noticed really black, oily exhaust or oil coming out of it. And I believe he said he did remove this. Obviously I think he did, because he said there's rubbing inside of the case there, almost as if the bearing wasn't fully seated or something like that. Normally you don't see that kind of rubbing rotational marks on the inside of the cover unless a bearing isn't seated fully, or if there's a gasket missing. Now OS engines typically don't have gaskets because of the high tolerances of the machining that is done on these engines. In fact, I bet you anything, I don't know. I've seen many OS engines, put it that way, that don't have any gaskets on the intake manifold or the rear cover. This one, I can't tell by looking at it. I wasn't planning on taking the intake manifold off, but I am going to take the rear cover off, and I think he said there's no gasket on there. And I said, you know, that's probably pretty normal for an OS engine. So I'm going to remove the rear cover, take a quick look inside, look at the scuff marks in the inside of this rear cover, see how much oil is still in the engine, if any at all, and then put it back together, and we'll be done with this this series of videos and this experiment. But I did not experience or see any kind of black oily exhaust coming out through this tube, through here. This didn't get dark or black, nor did my vent line on the tank show that, because, and I think that's because if for some reason there was some kind of a tolerance issue here and that rubbing was taking place, that was probably the cause of the black oily mess, and it probably seated itself, and it's not doing that anymore, and that's why that goes away. I've seen it happen on other engines of lesser quality before. On a new engine, there's been many times where I've seen a very brand new engine, for the first run maybe, will have some nasty looking black oily exhaust coming out from it wearing in, the metal parts wearing in, or you know, that type of thing. But it should never continue. You shouldn't continue to see that, because if you continue to see black residue in your exhaust or your oil that comes out, you got a problem. I did not see that at all with this engine. In fact, I think this engine is pristine. It's a great runner. I don't see any issues with this engine at all. So I'm going to put it right back how I had it and let it sit like this probably overnight, and I'll finish this video up in the morning. And you'll see here, I don't have a pool of oil or anything here. Nothing here at all. It's clean. So in the morning, we'll check and see if there's any oil laying here. And then we'll remove the rear cover and finish up this video, and I'll get this video series and I'll get this engine back to Tim. So thank you for watching, and Tim, I'm almost done with your engine. I'll have it back to you very soon. Good morning. So it's the next morning. This engine has been sitting here just like this overnight, and I want to see if there's any evidence of any kind of oil coming out of it. So let's just lift this up real quick. You can see the indentation in this foam where this has been sitting here. So I see no oil on here at all. Nothing looks like it's dripped out at all now. Let me zoom in just a hair. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it out there. There's just a little bit of oil residue on this throttle barrel. But I don't really see anything pooling at all, so I'm saying I don't really see any excessive or any oil leakage coming out of this at all. So let's pull this carb off real quick, look inside this back cover, and take a look at these scuff marks on the inside of this rear cover that Tim saw. It's not like there's anything I'm going to be able to do about them other than say, yeah, I see them, and since I don't see any evidence of any other metal, dirty oil or metal flakes coming out, I would say that the rubbing is done, and there's nothing more we can do about it other than just fly the crap out of this engine. So why I know this engine would have some kind of rubbing on the inside is beyond me. That's pretty rare occurrence, but you know, things happen. Okay, so here we go. No gasket. Oh geez, I don't even really see. I mean, sure, there's a little bit of a swirl there, but nothing that I would ever really be concerned about. Let me get a paper towel here. Just a small amount of oil. So there is some rubbing there. You can't even feel it. The inside of this engine looks brand new. Yeah, this thing is in great shape. I mean, this is a nice engine. I don't have any issues whatsoever with what I'm seeing in here. None whatsoever. This is a great looking engine. So I'm just going to put this stuff back together, throw all these screws back on, pack this engine up, and get it sent back to Tim so he can begin to enjoy it some more. So Tim, thank you for the opportunity for me to evaluate your engine, add it to the database, and I would say get this back on your airplane and have fun with it. Thank you all for watching.